Baik, Bapak dan Ibu yang sudah bergabung di ruang utama, terima kasih sudah bergabung saat ini. Kurang lebih 5 menit lagi acara akan segera kita mulai karena pemateri juga sudah siap. Nah, untuk itu Bapak dan Ibu yang masih duduk di bagian belakang, kami mohon kesediaannya perkenan Bapak dan Ibu untuk maju ke depan. Yuk diisi kursi yang ada di depan. Soalnya kelihatan nih kalau dari Zoom, kelihatan nih yang di depan-depan, yang belakang tuh nggak terlalu kelihatan ya. Yuk Bapak dan Ibu, adik-adik yang baru datang, silahkan bergabung ke depan, langsung duduk di baris depan ya. Ini ada 2 orang nih di belakang, ayo maju ke depan. Baik, hadirin yang kami hormati, sesaat lagi kita akan mengikuti sesi keynote ketiga. Akan ada 2 keynote speaker yang membawakan materi pada kesempatan siang hari ini pada sesi keynote ketiga dari King Abdullah University of Science and Technology dan juga dari Queensland University and Technology dengan moderator Bapak Muhammad Amar Naufal MED PhD. Kami mohon kepada peserta yang sudah bergabung di ruangan dan masih duduk di deretan-deretan belakang untuk bergabung ke depan. Kami informasikan kepada seluruh peserta untuk sesi keynote ketiga ini insya Allah akan dilaksanakan hingga pukul 14.40. Nah, setelah 14.40 ada coffee break sekitar 20 menit untuk istirahat dan paralel sesi kedua insya Allah akan kita lanjutkan di pukul 15.00 dan untuk ruangan paralel sesi kedua juga dilaksanakan di ruang PPG 1 hingga ruang PPG 9. Terima kasih untuk para peserta yang sudah mulai berpindah ke depan. Nah, yang masih stay di belakang, sekali lagi kami undang perkenan adik-adik, teman-teman peserta, Bapak dan Ibu peserta untuk bergabung di baris depan.
Halo. Halo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to start the third session of keynote session. In this session, there will be 2 speakers. The first is Professor Hafard Ru PhD from King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. And the second speaker is Professor Wen Biaohu PhD from Queensland University and Technology. And as a moderator, Bapak Amar Naufal PhD. He is a lecturer from Mathematics Department, Universitas Negeri Makassar. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us hand over the session to Sir Amar Naufal PhD.
Okay, thank you. Ibu MC. Baik, well, before I proceed, first I want to greetings Prof. Harvard. Hello, Prof.
Hello. Hello.
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second International Conference on Science and Technology in Education 2024. I am Muhammad Ammar Raufal, and it's my honor to be your moderator for today's session. This year's theme is Technology for Future, Integrating Research Collaboration in Sustainable Innovations. We are thrilled to have an esteemed lineup of speakers who will share their insights and expertise. I would now like to introduce our first distinguished speaker. Our first speaker is Prof. Hafar Ru, PhD, a distinguished professor at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, Saudi Arabia. Prof. Ru earned his PhD from the Norwegian Institute of Technology in 1993 and his Master of Engineering from the same institution in 1988. He is renowned for his expertise in Bayesian computational statistics and modeling, with research focusing around the RINLA project, which aims to provide a practical tool for approximate Bayesian analysis of latent Gaussian models, often at extreme data scales. This project also includes efforts to use stochastic partial differential equations to represent Gaussian fields for the use in spatial statistics. Today, Prof. Hafar Ru will be discussing cross-validation for dependent data. And please join me in welcoming Prof. Hafar Ru. Time is yours, Prof. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. I hope you hear me all well.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I'll discuss a very old topic. It is called cross-validation. And we'll look what happens when the data are dependent. So this is what we're going to do. How it will end up with some kind of automatic procedure for how to deal with cross-validation for dependent data, which is called group cross-validation. Okay. So what is cross-validation? Cross-validation is a technique to evaluate predictive performance. You have a model and you want to know how good it will predict a new data point. So, of course, it's a new data point, and then you want to fit the model and predict the new data point, and you can see the error. Okay. And you can do this by predicting on different subset of the data, because we don't have too much data, though we don't have kind of a big test set that we can use. So why we want to do that? Because we want to care about how the model predicts, how well the predicted performance is. And the aim, why do we want model prediction, is often because we want to have model selection. We have several kind of candidate models, and we might want to choose one of them, see which one that performs better. So the standard kind of procedure is to split your data set into what's called a training set and test set. So the training set is that we estimate the model from the data in the training set, and then we use that fitted model to predict the data in that test set. And then we compare the predictions with the actual data in the test set, and then we compute a score, and then we can often repeat this kind of process to compute some kind of average score. And then, of course, different models can compare score, and the better score wins. So this is a simple procedure. There are two common ways to do this. One is called leave one out, and the other one is kind of a k-fold cross-validation. So leave one out is simply that you have a data set, and you take away one data point, and you use the remaining ones to estimate the model. And then you try to predict that single data point. And here is, we can evaluate the score using the log score. So pi is a density. So it's a density for the observed data I when we use all the remaining other data to predict that data point. So essentially we fit the model using all the data but yi, and then we try to predict yi. And that density is pi, and we usually compare the log of pi. And then you repeat this for all the data points, and then you can kind of compute some kind of average. The other thing is something called k-fold cross-validation. Then we can select a subset of all the n data points, and we can select a 10-fold. So we do this 10 times, so you divide all the data by a factor. You group them in groups in 10 groups, okay? And then essentially you proceed the same thing. So you can compute the density of all the data points in that group, using all the remaining ones to estimate the model, or you can just predict them one by one, as in the second equation. And then you can also repeat this with or without replacement, or all groups, or randomization. There are many variations. So all this kind of cross-validation is like you take a data, you remove some data, you fit the model using the remaining ones, and you use the fitted model to predict the data that you remove. Essentially, there are some hidden assumptions behind all this. And it's simply that all the covariates, so every data point, including the covariate, is independent and identical distribution. So there is no kind of dependence in here. So all the covariates, it's exploratory. It's like the features that we use to kind of use in the models. All the features and the data point, that kind of vector is independent, and they have all the same distribution. If this is the case, then essentially, okay, there is this assumption also that removing and predicting a data point must be valid and make sense. And this is indeed the case if we have IID data. The other case is that this defines a well-defined limit as a number of data go to infinity. So like if we go back to the previous, like the average score of log pi given to rest, if we do the average over all the data points, and then we let n go to infinity, then this will essentially converge to a well-defined. This is very kind of simplified and kind of work well for kind of, the assumptions are okay for data that is like classification. You have a lot of pictures of cats and dogs, and you want to kind of classify them, or you have other kind of classification tasks. In our more statistical models, then this becomes a more problem. The point is that this kind of prediction scenario, how do we set up the situation so that I can predict a point? Then this is not very well defined anymore, and this needs to be defined. We're coming to that more. And of course, all of these things with dependent data also depends on how we intend to use the model in the future. The other kind of scaring bit is there is not necessarily any kind of well-defined limit. There are many ways, number of data, the size of the model can go to infinity. And usually there are many n's in the model, and they can all go to infinity at any time. So there is no asymptotic limit anymore. This leave one out cross-validation has still been used in all these cases because it kind of works. It's still useful, but it will evaluate much more interpolation than prediction. And we'll see an example of this. As a consequence, it will often favor more adaptive and local models. And this randomized cross-validation actually doesn't make sense anymore. Here's a small example to see what is going on. If you see the dots in the two figures, they are all the same, and they are fitted by two different models. The first one is a linear model, which is on the right, which is simply saying that the data yt is a mean plus beta times xt. xt is a covariate. So it's only depending, it's a scaled version of an external covariate that we can measure and have access to. So we see that the linear model is not very good fit. It captures the mean trend, but it doesn't kind of fit well the kind of the dots. Second model, the AR1, which is simply that the data follows an autoregressive process of order 1. And this is actually quite a good fit for this kind of data. So then you have that AR1 model, it's way better fit than the kind of the linear model. The point is that if you're thinking about the concept of prediction, oh, sorry, I can go back here. So the fit is also better. So if you do any kind of cross-validation measure by leaving one point out, the autoregressive model would be way, way better than the linear model. If we look at the predictions and thinking about more predicting instead of interpolation, then we see that the predictions are kind of different. In the linear model, the prediction is just a scale version of that kind of covariate that we have necessarily access to. We see that in the left figure. It's kind of it has the kind of overall pattern, but it doesn't. Of course, it does some errors, but it's not that bad. But the autoregressive one, the prediction there will kind of decay exponentially out to the mean, and that's not very good. So you see that in terms of, if we're thinking about more long-term predictions, the simpler model with the linear model will be way better than the model that produced the best fit to the data. So all this is just saying that interpolation is not the same as prediction. And what we want to prefer for prediction is not necessarily what we want to prefer for interpolation. Here it's the same figure in more detail. We have the autoregressive on the left. You see that the prediction is just exponentially decay. While on the right, you see that since we have access to this kind of covariate, we actually don't do too bad. We do actually much better than the auto-regression. So in terms of more long-term prediction task, then the simple model is better. And in terms of local fit, the auto-regressive model is way better. Here is another example. This is a multi-level model. We call a multi-level regression model, where you think that we have data y1, y2, y3. You can think of these as kids or students in a class, and we have different classes in a school, classes C1, C2, C3, and we have different schools that contain several classes, and we have regions that contains different schools, and D is a domain like the country. So also here, it's like, this is an example. If you want to do prediction, it's like, what do you want to predict? Do you want to predict how the students in each class is performing, or do you want to predict how a class in a school is performing, like a new class in a school? Or do you want to predict how a school is performing in a region if you start a new school? So prediction here is kind of, there are so many levels of predictions, and actually you have to be very clear or how we think about prediction in this kind of case. Of course, to make use of the kind of the structure in data, the kind of to make more use of the model itself, to kind of construct better prediction tasks is not a new idea. These have been there for a long time. And you can think of, you can have a spatial dependent structure, then you can think of, maybe I should, if I want to do predict, I can remove a chunk of the data with a part of space, and I can try to predict it again. If I'm thinking of temporal thing, I could divide it into chunks, and I can remove whole chunks in time. I can group it. If you have a regression model with different factors, you can remove a whole data from a factor to do this, or if you have all the kind of stuff. So this is just one example of it. So just saying that none of what I'm saying here now is kind of anything new. The point is that this is known and is not known at the same time. And the other thing that even though people might think of it, they often end up not doing anything about it. So it's kind of clear how we should proceed conceptually. It's like if you want to predict a data point, you have to define a set, GI, so that if I want to predict YI, I want to do that by removing this set, YGI, and I do the remaining data, whatever is left, to predict Y. So instead of just removing YI itself, that we do for live-on-out cross-validation, then we can remove a group of the data. And then we can compute this kind of scores over different models, and we order. Okay. So essentially, we aim at computing this YI given when you remove a set of data. And this kind of emulates kind of prediction. If you have a time series, you can think of, if you have a time series, you can predict one data point, and you can remove all the data around. Okay, and this makes no need to repeat models possible. Of course, we work this out. All the details for this are in the software, and latent Gaussian models is all done. There is a lot of details. You can read the paper. I'll not go through it here. I'll just show you a small example. This is a data set in space and time. So this is kind of wind speed data in UK, and we have different circles here, which is essentially all locations around the UK, and essentially want to kind of, so what are the natural group? If I want to predict the data point, which one should I do? So if I go up in the north, then it essentially show that there are no that many stations around. So then it will build the groups using observations of that is close in time. Okay, because it cannot use too many neighbors because there are not that many around. If we go down in the south, like station 18, then you can build this kind of group, that the set of data you want to remove, by removing a lot more data that is nearby, because the dependence is stronger in that sense, and then a few of neighbors that is also close in time. So all this kind of construction of this kind of what to remove in order to do one, to predict one, is kind of adaptive. It depends on the local structure and how the dependency structure in the model is essentially at this point. So just to do a quick summary, leave one out cross-validation is not that valid for the current data. Essentially, we think we're doing prediction, we're measuring kind of prediction, but we actually measure interpolation properties of the model. If you want to go out of this, it's tedious, but this kind of automatic procedure, this kind of methodology that I have not described, is way too, we cannot, it's way too involved, but you can read the papers, and this is how you can make it work, and it really works well, and it do the right thing again and again. And in this in-lab package to analyze latent Gaussian models, it is now very, very easy. Of course, you can also use this tool to define your own thing. You don't need to use this automatic procedure. All of this is kind of, well, it's done here. Here are some couple of references. There is main paper, there is the application paper. We're also working on this for kind of point process. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Howard Roof, for your nice and insightful presentation. And actually, we have two speakers for this session, but I don't see Prof. Wenbiahu are with us. So I will open the Q&A session. Please, from participants, if you have any inquiry, please raise your hand and the committee will give you a mic for asking your question. Please, anyone? Okay, please. Please, mic, please.
Cek. Oke. Mana tadi? Yang mana tadi orang yang mau bertanya? Oke. Mana tadi radio?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity given to me. My name is Nara Zahradia. I'm a student from State University Makassar. And my question is, how do we determine the appropriate window size or block length when using block cross-validation methods for dependent data?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't say much about it.
Thank you.
So the question is about, you choose how many data points should I take away? What is the size of the group? And that is essentially something you need to choose yourself. What we normally do is to compute this kind of scores for different values and see if you get kind of coherent or the same kind of conclusion. So this is one way of doing it. The other way is to use a small value, for example, 3 and 4, or 2, 3, 4, and say that, okay, at least this will be better than using only 1 point. So there is no answer to your kind of questions. This is like, you can try for different values and see how the conclusion might change. So there cannot be a true value either, you know. So you have to make a choice of essentially how much prediction you want to do. And this might seem a bit weird, but if you think to it, it has to be like this.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Howard, for your nice answers. Anyone who wants to ask question, please raise your hand. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you for the chance. My name is Farhan Ghazi Najib. My question is, are there any recent advancements or alternative techniques to cross-validation for dependent data that you find particularly promising? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the question is there any other alternative? Essentially, no. Because this kind of procedure is supposed to works in very general. If you have covariates, all of these cases is actually doing the right thing. You might think that if you have a very specific kind of application, you're doing kind of time series model, you want kind of predicting time, you can kind of do things yourself. It's not that difficult. But if you have models in space, you want to kind of remove a region, you can also do this. So there are certain cases where you know what the answer should be or could be. And then in these cases, then essentially this kind of automatic procedure would more or less do exactly what you have intended to do. So it actually picks out that, for example, a group that you have much more dependence within the same factor than between different factors, and it will actually pick out data in this kind of group. So essentially do things the right way, but there is no kind of other general methodology for doing it. There is just one answer to what it should be, is what you would like it to be. So this kind of automatic tool is meant to be helpful and is usually doing more or less what you want to do, but if you want to do otherwise, you have to test. And then it can compute everything for you. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Havarturu, for your answer. So, thank you to the participant who asking the question. Anyone else? No? Okay, I think your session is enough, Prof. Havarturu. So, again, thank you very much for sharing your insightful knowledge and presentations, and thank you again for your willingness to involve in our international conference, and I hope that these discussions and collaboration spark will lead to innovative solution and advancement in our respective fields. Thank you again, Prof.
Thank you.
Howard. Okay. And before you going out, there is a certificate, token appreciation ceremony, and I give him back to the MC, Mr. Chitra. Please lead the certificate appreciation, please.
Thank you very much, Sir Ammar, and thank you for our keynote speakers. And now we will give the certificate of appreciation for Professor Havarturu. Please give a round of applause for Professor Havarturu. Thank you very much for your very insightful presentation, and of course it already gave a very valuable knowledge for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Tepuk tangan sekali lagi yang meriah untuk keynote speaker kita pada kesempatan siang hari ini.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Terima kasih.
Bye-bye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Baik, hadirin yang kami muliakan, saat ini kita masih menunggu satu lagi keynote speaker kita.
Ya, yaitu Profesor Wen Bao Hu, PhD dari Queensland University of Technology,
Australia. Baik, kami informasikan setelah keynote session siang hari ini akan ada parallel session yang insya Allah akan dimulai pukul 3.
Ya, dan parallel session ini sudah terbagi di beberapa ruangan, ada di lantai 2, 3, dan 4.
Betul. Nah, untuk ruangan paralel kedua sama dengan tadi pagi sesi paralel pertama, yaitu di ruang PPG 1 hingga PPG 9. Dan kami undang kembali para peserta untuk setelah keynote session ketiga ini untuk kembali bergabung ke ruang paralel untuk menyaksikan presentasi dari para pemakalah dari berbagai institusi.
Tuh.
Untuk topik keynote speaker ketiga ini juga tentang statistika ya Pak Ammar ya. Nah tadi kita sudah belajar mendengarkan ya tentang statistika dari pemateri ke
Yeah, the
Enam.
next speaker will
Kenapa?
be presenting on developing web-based surveillance systems for infectious disease early warning.
Oke, it's about statistics.
Oke, tentunya pemateri ketujuh ini melengkapi beberapa materi yang sudah disampaikan oleh keynote speakers kita sebelumnya.
Betul.
Dan kita saat ini masih menantikan Profesor Wenbohu PhD untuk bergabung di Zoom meeting.
Betul. Dan tentu saja materi ini akan semakin menambah perspektif kita ya.
Ya.
Nah, saya yakin peserta saat ini berasal dari berbagai departemen. Nah, kita lihat tadi dari pemateri pertama hingga pemateri ke-6 membahas sesuatu hal dari perspektif yang berbeda. Nah, tadi kita melihat bagaimana bangunan-bangunan di Sulawesi Selatan
Ya.
dibahas dari perspektif geometri.
Benar.
Benar. Jadi benar-benar ini bisa memperluas cakrawala berpikir kita.
Iya, dan terkhusus karena ini juga statistik, tentu yang bisa kita pelajari adalah metodenya sehingga kita bisa menerapkan atau mengaplikasikan dalam penelitian-penelitian yang akan kita garap, yang akan kita kerjakan ke depan.
Betul sekali. Nah, tentu saja ini bisa juga menjadi titik awal untuk kolaborasi nih. Misalnya nanti ada biologi, jadi kepikiran kayaknya saya bisa collab dengan orang statistik nih. Iya betul. Jadi ini bisa jadi ajang untuk memikirkan kolaborasi-kolaborasi selanjutnya seperti apa.
Oke, dari beberapa peserta ini barangkali ada yang dari jurusan statistik.
Ada berapa orang nih dari jurusan statistik? Ada 2 orang, ada 3 orang, oke.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ribu ternyata
Oh
ya,
iya betul.
banyak sekali.
3.000 sampai 5.000, oke.
Di antara beberapa yang sudah hadir ini, barangkali ada yang ingin menyampaikan insight yang sudah didapatkan selama 6 keynote speaker
6
yang
keynote
sudah
speaker
menyajikan
sejak
tadi.
pagi ya,
Betul.
sejak pagi kita sudah ada 6 keynote speaker. Nah pasti sudah ada insight nih dari peserta, apa yang didapat. What kind of knowledge you got? What's unique that you learned today? Siapa nih yang peserta hari ini yang mau sharing knowledge from the keynote speakers or from the parallel session? Nah, saya yakin tadi sudah bergabung juga di sesi paralel untuk invited speakers.
Atau barangkali pengalamannya meneliti, boleh kita dengarkan juga gitu ya.
Boleh. Anyone? Kayaknya ada sudah ada yang angkat tangan di ujung sana.
Angkat tangannya masih di
Malu-malu ya.
di belakang kursi ya.
Bagaimana? Kami masih menunggu nih dari peserta, ada yang mau share?
Atau ada yang mau menyanyi?
Boleh, kami dengan senang hati. Profesor Wen Biaohu PhD from Queensland University of Technology Australia. Sebenarnya ini bukan kali pertama. Ada yang angkat tangan di belakang? Boleh, boleh.
Oh, angkat
Boleh
tangannya izin
saya?
ke toilet ya.
Boleh nih ada yang angkat tangan di belakang, tepuk tangan dulu dong. Boleh, boleh, boleh.
Take the chance for you. Atau pengalamannya selama perjalanan sampai di sini apa insight-nya?
Sudah ada, sudah ada.
Oh, sudah ada.
Prof. Ya.
Mbak Citra ini
Sudah ada. Oh, sudah ada. Oh, terima
Prof.
kasih sekali lagi kami ucapkan setidaknya sudah ada yang angkat tangan ya, tepuk tangan untuk satu orang yang berani di belakang. Tepuk tangan dong.
Iya, luar biasa ya.
Masya
Barangkali
Allah.
tepuk tangannya tadi berubah menjadi pertanyaan nanti nih di sesi keynote speaker
Iya,
ke-7.
depending sebentar jadi pertanyaan ya. Alhamdulillah saat ini sudah bergabung bersama kita.
Prof. Bahu from Queensland University of Technology.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we will start the next session of keynote session. So we would like to hand over the session to our moderator, Mr. Amar Naufal, PhD.
Okay, thank you, MC. How are you, Prof. Wenbiauhu?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. I apologize. Just I thought probably start here is 5 o'clock, but actually start at 4 o'clock.
Oh,
because of time difference for Jakarta. Sorry, apologize. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. So before you start your presentation, let me introduce yourself first. Ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker is Prof. Wenbiauhu, PhD. He is a research professor at the School of Public Health and Social Work at Queensland University of Technology, Australia. He has an extensive background in researching the impact of ecosystem changes on infectious disease transmission and developing climate-driven early warning systems for infectious disease. His research is influential, having been cited in the IPCC Working Group 2-6 Assessment Report 2021, and his work has significantly shaped public health policies for the WHO, China, and Australia. Professor Hu leads the Ecosystem Change and Population Health Research Group at QUT. His career includes numerous accolades, including an ARC Future Fellowship, 9 highly competitive grants totaling over $15 million, and over 270 peer-reviewed publications. Prof. Wenbiauhu's research focuses on a spatial and temporal dynamics of infectious disease, and the development of integrated EWS to predict disease outbreaks. With application in public health policy and practice, his work also involves mentoring emerging researchers, organizing international symposium, and leading innovative research programs that have garnered national and international recognition. Today, Prof. Hu will be presenting on developing web-based surveillance systems for infectious disease early warning. Please join me in welcoming Prof. Wenbiauhu. Please welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm very honored to be here to talk about our research. I'll just put my slides here. This time. Uploading my slides. Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, great. Thank you very much again. Actually, my topic is talk about how we can develop web-based or digital-based surveillance systems for infection disease early warning. So actually, I'm an epidemiologist. I try to think about how we can, predict infection disease to do early warnings. This is very important for public health workers. So we just today, I just give a few slides or we have a few publications to show our idea, how we, try use, web-based, surveillance. So my talk, just one is to talk about the conception, digital surveillance for infectious disease. And the second, applications for digital surveillance applications. Then we talk about the advantage and the limitations of web-based surveillance systems. So also we talk about overview for available tools so far. And the last year, I just talk about for future direction for developing web-based early warning systems. So this is all this afternoon. I will show my, previous our research. Just try to let you discuss. Actually, this graph just talk about disease surveillance. Why? Because everyone now we use like Google search queries, or use social media, lies, or other, for Facebook. Lots of such kind of data, why we can improve to surveillance infectious disease. So actually, public health department always hold, such kind of data. For example, dengue fever, influenza, or COVID-19. But they will definitely need people to see doctor. Doctor will test, say diagnostic the person, got such kind of disease. That's why we web-based probably these figures. If you look at this, the graph, we found that most probably people just only called subclinical infections. That meaning say they actually not really got symptoms. Probably even they got symptoms, but it's just mild symptoms. That will be didn't go to hospital. Just self-treatment. That's why if we just use public health department, surveillance data, they're definitely on the report. So that's why we can think about why disease surveillance we use web-based. This fundamental we start. If we think about now everyone now use internet. Everybody now tried to search some symptoms. Probably if they want to, sometimes we call it Google Docs. That's why we listed here. Also, we mentioned about a couple of public health surveillance. There will be put lots of money to to try to different hierarchical, because from national levels to province level to local levels. That's why I think this give we are more quick than normal disease surveillance. So here is we start web-based internet search queries, internet search infection disease surveillance. We started 2007, just 10 years ago. That time is not many people to use this one to predict infectious disease. If you look at this paper being published BMJ 2013, that time is China is got H7N5. If you look at this one, H7N9 emergency infection disease. That time we try use Baidu index. We try to how many people to search, H7 and 9, then to comparisons that community or that locations, the case numbers. We got idea to send the later. If you look at this paper, actually just research later. They are thinking about the possibilities, all right. That's why we next paper, we keep going. We review publication, all publications regarding web-based surveillance and the infectious disease. They published for infection, Lancet infection disease. We make conclusions, say that this kind of tools also is useful to monitor infection disease. That's why we also thinking, but we make conclusions also mention about even we can use such kind of tools, but we still need to think about we can't replace traditional infection disease surveillance system. So this one is we just for data. We just mentioned the Google or Lies or Facebook, but here news reports, social medias, and hospital admissions or pharmacy, and some like school or employee absence records. So lots of such kind of data also we call it considered being a bigger data. We also consider, say, the web-based surveillance systems can be used together. So that's why if you look at web-based surveillance systems, but now is the public health department or health department not formally to integrate it or incorporate such kind of data into surveillance. That's why our research tried to thinking about for web-based data. If we look at this, the reason why is it fast in traditional surveillance systems? Because now you search some keywords, they will quickly to we can got you some people today or yesterday how many people they search such kind of keywords. Second is to target a larger population spaces. That's why meaning say now internet more coverage getting higher and higher. This is why now is we new internet. Lots of people try to use internet to got some answer. Even now is ChatGPT as well, and also we think about another sense. We don't need it to like public health department apply. Got lots of instruction, infrastructure. That means that we need to put lots of funding to human resource and also put a lot of funding to trainings, educations for each local public health department. That's why thinking is would be cheaper and quicker, but we still need to thinking how we can link traditional surveillance. If you look at this one, another ideas and we say reasons. If you look at I actually am training got medical backgrounds. We think about say how for infectious disease can be linked to here bigger data. The bigger data include web-based data. Also, we include other risk factors. For example, social factors. For example, for environmental factors, include climate data, especially for dengue fever. I know Indonesia is a dengue fever also is a big problem. So that's why we here think about use risk factors and we also consider for web-based data. We all call the predictors. This is why this graph, you can look with idea here, but definitely we need modeling. I will let you talk about a little bit more details about modeling. But data here, the graph considered to we call the early warning systems. Early warning systems, we need one is the data, one is the modeling. The data actually web-based also is very quick to get such kind of data. We also consider modeling. That's why. If you look at this one, more move forward. If you look at this graph, you can right side we can, predict the location and predict when, where. We combine together, we can exactly know when and where that kind of infection disease will be outbreak. This is our main purpose. We call it early warnings. But keep in mind, the early warnings is concerned short term or medium term or long term. That means that we can predict the next week. We also can predict the next month. Also, we can predict the next 10 years or next 100 years. For example, for a vector-borne disease, mosquito-borne disease, because of some climate changes, for sometimes there will be some reason that now is not these vectors, but in the future, that it involves the region probably suitable for this vector. Condition will be suitable for this kind of vector. That's why we can see the long term. But here, if you look at this graph, we can call it a few, I think I need to highlight. One, we call it geographical information systems, GIS. This is very fundamental tools. So this is very good if our direct participants, if you think about it, I think very, very useful tools for epidemiologists or for public health workers. That's why we can mapping. Also, we can do like predictive function some. Also here, if you look at this one, we call it Weber-based data. That's why Weber-based data today, my presentation highlights Weber-based data. How we can use Weber-based data can improve our early warning tools, early warning systems. So if you look at, we call it predictions and the forecast and also decision-making tools. That's why my purpose for being epidemiologist, I try my best to continue to develop such tools. That's why Weber-based data very, very important. If you look at this one, Ebola, probably you know that Ebola, this emergency infectious disease. This paper published in the Lancet Global Health. We also use Google search query data, tried to confirm, to validation, to say Weber-based data or Google search query data can be used to predict Ebola. So if you look at this paper published in 2015, I think we just got to prove our idea, our methodology can be used to develop early warning systems. So if you look at this one, it's more details, because that's why we just not the idea. We definitely need it. Australia, we have 64 reported infectious disease. We check every 64 every infectious disease. Also check Google search queries. We do correlations. Also, we do like confirm that there is really, this can be used to. That's why this paper published 2017, I think it's 17. They will talk about some is very good, some is doesn't, looks good. This means that we need to consider. Here we list two kind of group disease. One is vector-borne disease. One is we call it vaccine preventable disease. That will be good. The best suitable for the river-based early warning systems. For example, dengue, and chikungunya, or Zika, or malaria. That such kind of we call vector-borne disease. Vaccine disease are also pertussis, measles, and such kind of also we can be use. So that's why this paper we call the screening disease for suitability, because we don't know. This first paper has been in Australia 64 infection disease to take web-based data or Google search query data. Okay. Now is this paper is we modeling, because I know you guys probably work in the modeling world. We tried thinking about how kind of data can be developed a predictive model. This is why we discovered internet-based learning models. The paper published 2016. We linked to another model, they actually the statisticians. We working together. We developed a dynamic, we call the internet-based learning models. If you have interest, you can look at this paper with more detail, talk about it. But we use web-based data, Google search queries. But only data really not good enough. We still thinking for dynamic models or combined to prove. This is why this paper, we answer such kind of questions. Under this paper, we talk about pertussis, it's a whooping cough. We call it whooping cough because if children suffer from that kind of disease, it will be like 100 days. Normally, we call it long, whooping cough. That's really few months. That's really, really serious, for children sometimes. This is why we monitor use pertussis. Internet search queries. Also, we use time series model. Probably you know we call it time series, we call it a RABU model or seasonal RABU model. We also use this model to input, for Google Trends. We include Google Trends. We found that sensitivity, the modeling sensitivity and specificity always good. If we look at the sensitivity, we got a 77%, specificity 83%. That's why agreements 81%. I think this would be good, to link to CDCs or link to health department to let you know if we use internet search query can improve to the next few weeks, for pertussis in past situation. They're all we publish 2017. This one is not good enough for just purely to use Google search queries. We also think about social-economic data. Social-economic data, because of regional difference. You can see the variations by locations. If we develop a model, why we call it special temporal. Time series temporal is more just one cities. But if you look more bigger region, like whole Indonesia, lots huge region, then variation different province or different location, the variation is different. That regions probably social demographic difference. Or perhaps surveillance, or some region maybe always some disease high, some may be lower. This is why we consider such kind of social demographic factor. We account for such kind of factor then to do modeling. That paper been published 2019. Then we thinking about another issues. We talk about say that we need other more risk factors or predictors. Single factors not good enough. If you just purely use internet query or social medias or lines or Facebook, this is called web-based, but still can say if we are predicting influenza, you can think about influenza. Probably linked to human movement. Maybe linked to climate factors. Why we don't use such kind of data? I think we should be test the model, put in, if really to improve our prediction, If they really go, this paper answer questions. We use temperature and they use Google search queries. We combine together. We found that use time series model, they got a good. That's why the paper been published in Environmental International. I think this still idea say we not just use single factors. For our knowledge, I think that before the paper is just only purely use river-based. But this one we think about use other risk factors. I think some based, you can take which sort of disease that's important. Different disease may be different risk factors. That's why here I just highlight that not just for single factors, we need to link to other risk factors. Okay. This one is another interesting, I think, because we use, across, we call it a cross homograph, we said a cross homosphere, southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere, because seasons different. Now in Australia it's spring season. Probably north hemisphere now is autumn. If we here is winter, northern hemisphere would be summer. That means that the season just opposite, the difference. That's why because we can think about infection disease always got a very strong seasonality. That's why we think about, we tried to use different, hemisphere data. That's why the paper being published. We try use UK, American, China, Australia, 4 countries tried across hemisphere. This also we use Google search query data. This paper we just COVID because we already got some other disease. While we use Google search query predictor for COVID, we use Morgan data. They published. I think the paper is just 2023 last year. Also we use modeling just particular COVID. Okay, this paper actually we published 10 years ago. We published the review paper for web-based or internet-based early warning system for infection disease. This one 10 years later, we now updating. We just if you look at title, updated review of the last 10 years and the lessons from COVID-19 pandemic. Because now it's really, I think the company technology, really, move forward quickly. That's why if you look at this graph, artificial intelligence, machine learning models, or other tools coming. That's why we look at chatbot and health. That's why we try to think about 8 moments. We just thinking about our web-based or big data. Use, even currently COVID-19 use, we call it wet, wastewater, for monitoring. Also another data for COVID-19 surveillance. That's why if you look at this one, the main purpose develop early warning systems use artificial intelligence. Not just purely for our, because the data will be getting more and more complex. Not just learning model can answer these questions. But hierarchical model data or high dimension data, really complex. Which model is suitable for this kind of data? I think at a stage, more people keen to learn machine learning. That's why I would strongly suggest we got a big data. We also need to develop a very, very robust model. That modeling would be not only single model. We also consider really good, we call it, probably we can use 100 models, then can do more than average. We tried to give more our maximize our predictions. This is why this just review this paper, updated review. Here, if you can search your computer or your Google or your mobile, you can call it health map. If you say how's the situation globally for influenza, if you check keywords, this a few weeks ago I did. We can know where is in fact influenza is high. You can check Indonesia, no any problem. You can find the thinking where how is high. This developed this tools in Harvard University. This person, Professor John Brownstein, he actually, is very, very great person to link a Google, company, and tried to develop such tools. So that's why I put the key health service, open days, open hours, or regions, very comprehensive, tools. Everyone, I participate. If you're interested in these tools, you can just put your Google health map. Put it there, then to open this app, then you can search your, you can use measles or use pertussis, you can use other, you can malaria, dengue, or any others. That's really influenza as well. And another one is Australia. We call the flu tracking map. This is also just for we just my home address and also we age or gender, which locations. There will be each Mondays ask me to put in. They're called web-based, also called web-based early warnings. There are no Australia influenza situation. That's why we call the flu tracking. That's why some research group that comparisons flu tracking mapping and the real influenza data. We should say that this also is very good. The pattern is the same. Okay. This paper will be 2 years ago, I think. It's Harvard University John Brownstein published called Advances in Artificial Intelligence for Infectious Disease Surveillance. I think it's a good paper. If you really wanted to learn or working this kind of research area, I would suggest you reading this paper. They talk about why, how, what's the the perspectives in the future for this kind of web-based early warning systems. And now is we just conclusion. We make a conclusion. One is I mentioned about using artificial intelligence and the internet search queries to monitor emergence infection disease is very useful tools. Okay, this is my last 10 years I'm working such kind of research and can conclude say it's very useful. Second, digital based surveillance tools can't replace traditional surveillance systems. Still, we needed to health department to keep traditional infecting disease surveillance systems. We couldn't replace just we use web-based, never take risk. Okay, why? There should be some we call them probably fail alarm, fast alarm. That means that sometimes we not validation, not to confirm. Lastly, we also need to forecast model. This challenge is how to use such kind of data to develop a model. This you guys perhaps more advantage, to thinking how you can use advanced model to develop. Now, future, we talk about future research. We still need to investigate other risk factors because we know some is predictors, but we still don't know others. So still risk assessment or risk selections also is good. I think still needed to do. Second, I mentioned about dynamic spatial temporal models. That's why Professor Ashley, she also published the spatial temporal modeling to try to use dengue and other disease. I think would be very good for such kind of early warning systems. And another one is we also need to evaluation predictors, not just use this one to modeling, because each different risk factors or observations or indicators is still behind the loss of a story. We need to carefully to understand maybe changed by different region, because this region may be another region different. That's why if you consider we still should be evaluate the data for individual or so
Sorry.
this one is our idea. Actually, this here I'm trying my best to work in such kind of we call the flow chart. There's five box. Each box is a huge job. If you look at the file box, if you look on the data, okay, this is for we call the gray colors, pink colors, or yellow colors. The different colors there will be getting one move forward. If you look at this one, data input, risk assessment, prediction, applications. So I put it here. I just give you a thinking for Weber-based still is the one. If you look at here, first box, look at the Weber-based data one. That's why we published a few papers just thinking about Weber-based data. It's useful data, but we still need to consider this whole structure for early warning systems. Here actually modeling. I think I know you guys probably from a mathematical school or modeling person. But here is, if you look at this one, is we call it ongoing data or historical data or geographical data or populations or different shape files or lots of such kind of all integrated together. Main purpose just to try to send a message to policymaker or Department of Health. So you make decisions. I say next month, think you feel in the Makassar will be double. The last year the case numbers, but where probability how much? Or next year how it's chosen. There will be well preparations, medical resource, or probably doctor like need this carefully be not thinking increase so much, or probably we can, we cover vector control. We can direct control or education general populations. This is why here and health. So I think the time probably I just thinking and health. And health is very useful, functions or very useful tools. If you're mobile, we can put a chatbot. We can put the education, software or package that can know search more specific for each high risk regions, target populations, and give probably we can think about that here we need the identity risk factor or vulnerable group, lots of such kind of we call it health. This paper actually just published early this year. If you look at interesting modeling, selections, and recommendations, that's why I'm challenging. I mentioned about it. It's really challenging to select a good model. So we all put everything, every model from infectious disease tools. Our group, I just to try give recommendation. So which model we put, which you need to consider, seasonalities, or we call it modeling uncertainty issues, or trends, or non-linear functions, or extremely value, or interactions. Lots of such components, we have to consider in our early warning tools, or called web-based early warning systems. This one is, I think, probably just slides, talk about research translations. Everyone did not just all in publications. We also needed to link with the government or link with the policymakers or public general populations. That's what we call the impact. That's why we also strongly link to CDC's health department to show how our results. They got a few ideas. We need more workshops. We need more meetings. We need more newsletters. We need more messages. We need more conference, like call it the second international conference on science, technology, and education, like our conference today. Just show our knowledge. Yeah. Now it's just our main ideas, just One Health. Probably you know what's called One Health. This paper would be my thinking last slides for we call future perspectives for emerging infection disease control. We call it One Health approach. This also, I think, in modeling is also linked to environmental health, animal health, human health. We try to see web-based data also try to work in this one. This one, probably you know, guys. I was in December last year. Thank you very much for hosting me. We talk about dengue fever, but today we just talk about our early warning, web-based early warning systems. And that's all my today. Talking. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Wen Biao-hu. Please giving a round of applause to our keynote speaker, Prof. Wen Biao-hu. Very nice and insightful presentation, Prof. So now we move to the Q&A session. We open the floor to questions. Please raise your hand if you want ask. Okay, please. Please give mic to the participants, please. Yeah, in front of me, please. Yeah. Ibnu, tolong bantu. Ya, dengan yang di belakang, dua. Yeah, please. There are two participants asking the question, please. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks again, if given to me. My name is Hordi Aldi. I'm from in State University of Makassar, Department Biology Education, Program Doctoral. I have a question. What are the challenges in using the digital web and artificial intelligence to disseminate accurate and reliable information about global diseases to the public?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, please,
Thank you.
Prof.
Thank you. I think it's very great questions. That's true. It's very challenging. If we public health now, we are at a stage we can give you an example. Artificial intelligence at the moment is very popular. Or for example, we machine learnings. We try to do we call it random forest models. We got 100 risk factors. but we will be thinking because the big data or paper-based data is really in high dimensions. That's why normally or traditional models not suitable for. But for my standing at a stage, we probably step by step, thinking data. We needed to got which sort of data bank, or we got a department to just purely got a bigger data department. Each data we need to really, thinking because if you are universal, I mentioned about if you thinking for data clean and the data linkage, and give some property terminologies, because if you really do such kind of early warning systems, not just for single cities, we need to think about regional, even for a country, for this country, or that country, or like with the Pacific regions. This for global issues, how we just one step by step. That's my understanding. If you got more data, more and more data, you need to consider more artificial intelligence tools. Otherwise, it will be hard. But how we can use such kind of we at the moment we some paper we also mentioned the random forest. We found the non-linear functions. For example, dengue fever, we develop an index or called it suitable for a conditional index. We use this one and then use other big data combined together. Only we can predict 60%. 60%. That's why we will be concerned to include more predictors and try to find good models for artificial intelligence. At the stage, we start, to this kind of project, but it's still a long way to go. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. The second one, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity you give it for me. To me, that I saw that the slideshow previously that Prof. Bio has some interest in research that is public health policy. So I have some question about the public health policy.
Only one question, not
okay,
some.
the one.
Yeah.
Okay. So my research interest especially in tobacco control policies. So how can data from web-based surveillance systems be used to inform and shape tobacco control policies, especially in tracking smoking prevalence and compliance with smoke-free regulation? Sorry, maybe quite out of topic, like because Prof. Bio talked about infection disease, but I wanna make it clear for my curious. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Okay.
Prof. Yeah.
Thank you. That's like translation, research translations, how we can use web-based data. I think this one, we actually link to government. We actually give example. We Concern Health here, just a few years, they got we call it a Commonwealth scam. They tried to do commercial, but they do the period is very, very important to make sure no in fact is an outbreak. Otherwise, big events. All Shanghai also got a similar things. That's why we call it medium checking. So we also use Google or other social media to checking the index. If we found unusual, events, that be quick. We probably need like government say, look, we found that now is more people with such kind of keywords. Because infection disease, for example, you catch cold, you feel headache, you high fever, or cough. This term probably you will be searched. Or maybe also other events, not just infecting you mentioned about it. It's similar. For the mental health will be say, they're very stressful, how, there may be some keywords as well. The chronic disease also, a long time ago, I was reading one paper very interesting because they use Google say how committing suicide. Because this kind of was really, really serious. Because if we do some analysis research or found some regions, some group will be such kind of sensible, keywords, we will think of interventions. We will be like government to say, oh, need to do more education. What's the reason? Maybe these regions maybe got some low education regions or particular some events, we don't know. They will give clue. They will give some, evidence. We not confirm, but this just concern the government to think about the reason. So this one for chronic disease or for infectious disease, I think it's good, especially now I'm working infection disease. We use this one to predict the next week. That's why I mentioned the commercial scale. We're also working them to predict the next week. Publish the daily newsletter. Even COVID, same, we can predict the next 10 days COVID situation. Use Google search quality. But how the government believe, trust your prediction is true or false. Just why we will be mentioned about it. We needed to say how much your probability, your predictive model is there will be agreements. Why is the included sensitivity? Why is it called specificity? That meaning say you need both would be good. People think about, oh, you are predictive reliable. Okay, that's why my answer questions is still we need to close work with health department, give some suggestions, ask policymakers to do some interventions, all validations, all tried to retest or we call it, after validation we improve our model. Also we need more, hopefully in the future we can go more comprehensive translations. We still working all across. This is why last slide we mentioned about meetings, workshops, and you send the newsletters of the validations. All I think is for our translations issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Wenbiahu, for your answers. So, dear participant, please giving a round of applause to our Prof. Wenbiahu. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our keynote speaker and participants due to the time limitation. So, I will end our session today. So, participants and keynote speaker, your contribution and engagement have made this event success. We hope that the discussion and collaborations spark here will lead to innovative solutions and advancements in our respective fields. So thank you once again for joining us, Prof. Wenbiahu, and also all the participants that engaged in our session today. We look forward to seeing you at future conference, Prof, and continue our journey towards sustainable innovation. So before you leave, there is a next agenda that is a certificate appreciation. So again, thank you. Giving back to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Naufal, PhD, for moderator in our last session. Thank you for Professor Wenbiahu, PhD. This is a certificate of appreciation as a keynote speaker. Please giving applause for Professor Wenbiahu.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Prof. You can leave now.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you. Yeah,
May
thank
leave.
you.
Bye-bye.
Baik, terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada Bapak
Thank you,
Amar
Prof.
yang sudah memandu kita untuk last session. Dan selanjutnya para hadirin yang kami banggakan, kita melangkah ke agenda berikutnya. In the next agenda is a parallel session. So for our invite speaker and all of participant, you can meet your class in this floor. Di lantai ini, teman-teman bisa menemukan kelas paralel ataupun satu lantai di bawah dan satu lantai di atas. Kalau saya bilang lantai 2, 3, 4 ini biasanya kita masih miss gitu ya. Terima kasih untuk seluruh kegiatan kita sampai kesempatan sore hari ini. Mudah-mudahan kita bisa berjumpa lagi di kesempatan berikutnya dengan hasil riset yang jauh lebih membanggakan. Thank you, saya Muhammad Reza, rekan saya sedang ke toilet namanya Citra. Mohon undur diri, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Para hadirin yang ingin mengambil gambar di depan backdrop dipersilahkan.